themselves. Just a couple of picks in the early game kind of threw them off in Towers of Doom.
I had a hair in my mouth. Game number 3, ladies and gentlemen. The series, of course, is tied. And let's see what we have now in first picks. Because this could be a map where, once again, we have Garrosh available. The question is, do Method still believe that on Battlefield of Eternity they should ban him out? And yes, so I really like this. It comes back to what we said in the first draft of the series. If Garrosh is an issue, identify it and ban it. So many teams have not shown the flexibility within a best of 5 to actually adjust to their opponent's strategies, and Method is currently doing exactly that.
Good for them. Honor coming in, as you mentioned, with Hanzo getting picked up as that first pick. And he's at a point right now where if you are not first picking Hanzo, it actually feels like you are doing your team a disservice. His ability to delete the Immortals is unmatched by anyone in the game. Even old, like, Vala in her prime, or even Greymane in his prime, just does not match what against Hanzo can do if you were to do a straight DPS race. That scatter arrow, post 7, incredible and hard to deal with.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous how fast he can chunk down an Immortal, so that's definitely always a good call. And it's also, it's not only when he gets complete access to the Immortal how much he can chunk him down there, but even if an opponent is just sitting in that spot and says, okay, we need to defend now, that constant poke that he has, you will always get a few arrows through, and also, of course, you damage the opponent there as well. Genji, consistently being a first pick on the side of Method, always going in, trying to make sure that Shrimpy gets Ninja here and one of the Shimado brothers. So they love their Genji. It has been part of their composition every single time. It's really difficult to draft against it though, because right now we've been talking a lot about adjust to the draft. Look at what your opponent is doing, take something away if you can. But Team Liquid is consistently banning out Tracer, and giving that up would just give Tracer over to their opponent. So basically Method has just decided that with Tracer gone, they're subbing one of the heroes out with Genji. So it's a bit tricky for Team Liquid, more so than for Method to adjust to anything here.
I kind of miss, I know Stukov is up and available, but I miss Uther being in the meta, being one that you would pick up pretty often, because I think it helps with that Genji problem. At least Genji has a harder time coming in there and harassing consistently. Shrimpy has been uncontested in terms of being allowed to move into that back line, put a little bit of damage on his opponent, and then back away. Uther helps with that, being able to bring out that stun, especially in the late side, and then you have that option to, even if you really need to, go into Divine Storm. However, Team Liquid is going at it in a different route. They pick Diablo. Diablo great for countering that Genji, having that click and point, but also for controlling the middle of the map. A lot of corridors for him to get that bang in there as he brings in the wall and meet them to the face of his opponent.
Also with Medivh now, you have the combo set up with potential Leyline Seal. You could still see the Polybomb there, but Medivh alone with Diablo already fantastic. And of course, Medivh also providing the vision, and that's important when you have the standoff during the immortal phase in the middle of the game, so that you can also know how far Hanzo, for example, can go. Does he have to be careful of anybody trying to flank him? So Medivh with vision alone is going to help them. The aggression that you can get through a well-placed portal is also highly important here. Method decide to take Sonya away from Team Liquid, just making sure that Eternal doesn't get access to her. And that's, of course, another hero that also excels on the map. Great side lane control and also good pressure against the Immortal.
What I like about Team Liquid's draft so far is how they open up with it. First off, you have the Diablo answer the Genji, as you mentioned, the strengths of Medivh and what he brings too. But also, in case Eteria were to get picked up by Method, now they have a tool to deal with that sanification, because that sanification really hurt them a few times on Towers of Doom. And now with the ability to Leyline Seal, or even Polybomb beforehand, gives you a couple of options to make sure Teo doesn't get that money sink that he wants for his team to be able to get a cleanup or a disengage. So really good reads here by Team Liquid, taking the strategy that Method had in game number 2 and making sure it's not as easy to pull off as we go into BOE.
And for Method now, it's time to show their cards a bit. They opened up with the Truth and Tried, getting Malfurion and Genji. We don't see a support for Liquid yet. They could still decide to go into Stukov, even though there was a lot of pressure on their Stukov player, Splendor, in the past few games. But of course, here on Battlefield, they might have a better chance, especially if Diablo is around to get that point-and-click stun, potential stun against Genji when he starts engaging into the backline. But how is Method going to play it this time? What's going to be their strategy outside of their standard assassin that they are trying to use here? The front line in particular is what interests me. And Nubarak, again, they really, for the third time in a row now, pick Nubarak, go full in on him. It's just amazing to me, considering no one else is playing Nubarak at this point. And then Thrall, of course, also played as well. Great map for him here for the poke. And yeah, interesting setup here for them.
Nubarak will always be one of those heroes that I feel like is going to pop up here and there depending on teams, just because of how much CC he brings to the table and his ability to stop momentum from the opposing team. Being able to interrupt a Diablo Shadow Charge with that Impale, or as we saw with the Garrosh, being able to stop that Groundbreaker from going in there, is a strong tool. It's just, as we mentioned, him being low health point is such a hindrance for your team.
Yeah.
If he ever gets caught out, you will get deleted. But again, what he does bring to the table definitely seems to be outweighing for the pros here for the cons that a Nubarak usually brings to the table for Method. They think the pros are a little bit better.
To be honest, it's one of my favorite tanks to see in a draft. Not because I say like he's the most enjoyable to watch, but every single time you have an Nubarak in your setup, the thought process behind it is aggression. The thought process is to drive into an opponent past the cocoon and really be aggressive and engage heavily. And that playstyle is very enjoyable to watch. So seeing him in the situation is fantastic. We've seen Fnatic in the past very heavily focus on a Nubarak, and outside of that, most teams have started to shy away a little bit from it. So it's awesome that he's back here. Well, Liquid now picking up Stukov again. They have also Blaze for the side lane, and that is a very, very beefy front line that we're seeing now. Diablo and Blaze, both of them very difficult to take down, but what Method has so far, especially, of course, since Medivh is in a position where he can help them with a portal. And we have already seen before that a lot of these combos where Diablo Medivh not only synergizes around the heroic, but where you have the Diablo player aggressively jumping into the backline of their opponent, and then the Medivh portal pops up immediately and makes sure that they have an easy time escaping. We've seen that not only with Team Liquid in the past, but we've also seen it with someone on the lines of Dignitas. And this last guy, we have seen him before. When was that? Remind me.
Yeah, we saw him yesterday from Method on Sky Temple. They were able to push down a lane, eventually get to the core, and go for a base race with a Falstad and double Samuro composition. But this time, looking like we're going to have Samuro be in that top lane. He's going to be looking to be Sonya-esque, trying to drop on the Immortal, try to burn it down where he can, pull away resources from your opponents. This is all about baiting and switching a lot here for Method, trying to find themselves in a position where they can get that Hanzo or anyone to peel away from the Immortal, put in a little bit of damage, and bring that guerrilla warfare to light.
And also, this is a map where Samuro is a lot less unexpected. Still not really part of the meta, don't get me wrong. I mean, he might pop up a little bit more now, but for, I would say it's even more than half a year. Let's make that 7 months. A lot of teams have been talking about, yeah, it's actually not bad. We might try him at some point. Nobody really jumped the gun until now, but we are seeing Method playing the hero a bit more now, and Samuro is definitely strong on the Battlefield of Eternity.
Don't forget, MSV actually will be pulling it off once for Fnatic when they were a roster, and they were able to win that game. So that was exciting to see, but you're right, it is a very rare pick that has been discussed often. Let's see if it pays off for Method as we head into game number 3.
And over to the left side of the map on Samuro, we have Ethereal, on the other way around. Curson playing Malfurion, Genji played by Shrimpy. We see Nick on Thrall and Arcana on Nubarak once again.
On the right side in the red, Hasawabs playing Medivh, Eternal on Blaze, Sport Billy on Diablo, Splendor on Stukov, and Nurok will be your Hanzo for today. Into the lanes we go, and something to note is that Thrall is actually going to not be going Crash Lightning. He is still intending to come down to this bottom lane and try to finish out that quest that we normally see, Echo of the Elements, attempting to get double stacks available for his Chain Lightning.
And we have actually seen that a few times. Alex the Prodigy has also played the same build here on Volskaya, for example. But also coming back to, if you tuned in a bit late or if you haven't really watched too many of Method games in the last few days, once again a quick reminder that we had a role swap on their side and it's really working out well for them up to this point at least. Arcana now in the main tank position, and we have seen Ethereal go back to his offlane that he played for previous teams. So with that, the pressure was definitely more so on Arcana than on Ethereal, because we know that he absolutely kills it in that spot. But Arcana now had to learn the offlane. And I really want to say again how amazing it is that Arcana, an Australian player that moved over to Europe to play in HGC, has adapted to the region, to the meta, and has really accepted that challenge from the get-go, and with all the passion that he has, came in and moved into that spot. So fantastic player by him, not only starting first out in his role as an offlaner, but now also in the role as a main tank.
Talking about Arcana, saving Shrimpy's life there, coming in there and blocking that arrow that was going to come in and land on top of Genji. Malfurion also doing the same. But I think coming back to Arcana, I think a lot of it comes back from who he is as a person, right? He has a lot of heart. He wants to be the best of the best. That's the reason why he even left Australia. He wasn't content being #1 in Australia. He wanted to be the best in the world. And that's why he's come over to Europe, trying to fight in one of the best regions we have. And speaking of Team Liquid being a little bit aggressive here, they jump on top of Malfurion and they take him out.
And that's exactly the aggression that we mentioned in the draft. When you have that the Medivh available to open up that portal and then let Diablo go through for the quick aggression, and it's really difficult if someone is isolated on the side, and that's exactly what we just saw happen to Curson. His Malfurion gets taken out, and Liquid is aggressively pushing at this bot lane. Shrimpy comes in, tries to help out a little bit, and immediately we have Sport Billy just hammering him into that tower and saying, "You had a great game on Towers of Doom, boy, but I'm here right now, and you are going to suffer."
Yeah, Sport Billy seems to be in a headbutting mood, man. Dropping him straight into that wall. Almost get the catch on him and may have had the kill.
He's just mad because they banned his Gamma.
Yeah. How dare you ban my hero? I'll show you the other heroes that I've been working on. Diablo will be a threat for Method to contest with, especially as we head toward this Immortal phase, and we're about to get into that in about 23 seconds. Again, fighting around the middle of the map, watching right for that Diablo, making sure not to get landed on. If he ever finds you and catches you in a corner, usually those kills are going to start racking up. We saw that yesterday with Breeze. Once 13 and 16 hits, it becomes almost impossible to deal with a Diablo. You have to make sure that you have the teamwork to back you up, or of course that you're playing really well around those walls.
And let's also take another closer look at Thero here. Again on level 1 with Way of the Wind on Samuro. With level 4 we have Mirage, so making sure that you get the extra spell armor. We're going to keep a bit of a closer look to the build that he plays. Would expect very few deviations from yesterday's build, but since we don't see him as much in the European meta, we are going to highlight that definitely a bit more as the game goes on.
Poke already coming in here. Method working on doing some damage to this Immortal while Samuro is getting kicked in the top lane. Genji also pushing that bottom lane with that Night Camp, doing a heck of a lot of damage actually. Method, on the other hand, are trying to slow down Team Liquid's rotation. Inferno wants to come down here and do his best to clear this out. Why? Hanzo begins the task of burning down the Immortal, dropping in those scatter arrows.
Yeah, and as we can definitely see, these two teams are still, it's a 1-1 situation. We have 5 minutes into, or 4 minutes into this, so far only 1 kill, and we have very answer play between two teams that play on eye level. Sport Billy again with that aggression, just darting in whenever he can. And we have to always put a caveat on this. The main reason why Sport Billy is being this hyper-aggressive is he knows he can get out every time through a portal that Hazard throws down. Normally, when you engage like this and you don't have a Medivh available, that's you just inting. And that's you just asking to be killed. But in this setup with Medivh, there is always an escape available to you. Nice attempt here to take Thero down, but he barely moved away. Drops the spray casually on the way back down. Shrimpy also trying to dodge here. Stun circles, nearly putting an end to that. Already getting slowed down here, and Genji starts to be in trouble. Nurok wants to take him down, and this could be the end of him. And indeed it is, as Hanzo confirms the kill. Medivh completes, on the other hand, his quest teller, and of course fantastic for him to stack against all those Samuro copies.
Really early here, 4 minutes and 40 seconds, and as you mentioned, the Samuro copies definitely helping in regards to that. Team Liquid will be able to start heading into this halftime show as they chunk down the Immortal, and we're going to have Method doing their best to contest backwards as they go for their own fight here on the left side. Team Liquid already positioned to start chunking it down with that scatter arrow, and then while it's going to be a little bit on the close side, looks like Team Liquid will be able to barely just walk away with the Immortal phase.
Yeah, 900 hit points. What was the closest? It was 2, right? We were on 2.
What's that?
Were we on 2 hit points one time?
Oh, the closest we had, I think, was 3. Yeah, it was
3?
Super close.
Yeah, I can't remember if we were on 2 or if it was more, but yeah, that was just absolutely nuts. This one is pretty close too. 900 is nothing to frown at. It's only a few hits. Here's the quests completed as well for Thrall and for Hanzo, at least for now. And of course, that Immortal is already starting to chunk through. The bot lane, Samura is taking his position. And here at the top, we already have the towers destroyed, and the poke just continues. And they need to be careful, especially Shrimpy here. Sport Billy is just waiting for someone to overstep.
This is also, by the way, why Echo of Elements can be pretty strong here. Popping in on the Immortal, trying to deal with it. Suddenly, you become that ranged damage for Method in your composition because you don't really have like that main auto attacker. So Nick is able to kind of fill that role with that Echo of the Elements, having double charges, trying to burn down an Immortal as quickly as he can. I am a little bit curious about those level 4. I'm not sure if you fully talked about it here, but the Frost Wolf pack coming online here, finishing 7 stacks, allows for you to have the cost of Feral Spirit reduced by 50% and also the cooldown of it. So while it's a bit hard to land, you have to hit 7 of those, and then you also have to make sure you don't die. If you do finish that quest, suddenly you're able to spam out your spells because the Wolf isn't as spendy when it comes to mana, but you also are in a position where you're getting a lot of Frost Wolf resilience available to you because you're able to drop that on waves and clear them out pretty efficiently with that 50% cooldown reduction. So I love that talent, but it is a bit of a risk here. And so far, looking at the stacks, there is 0 available for Thrall, as Nick has been unable to finish that out.
Yeah, we have at the same time when we're talking about quests also about talents, Burning Blade as a level 7 talent on Samuro. As I said, we're going to keep a bit of a closer look on his particular build, but also down here to the bot lane, another root on the ground as the Eternal is actually in trouble, but still able to walk away with Blaze. So heads up on that. And here at the same time, let's see quickly what's going to happen and the camps, because we have once more Nurok just utilizing his Hanzo and this Scattered Arrow build to just drop a camp within seconds. And with the next Immortal coming up, Liquid is in a fantastic spot because they have half a level of a lead against Method, so that means that they have a very good shot of getting 10 first, using that to burn the Immortal down. Maybe win the halftime show, maybe win the second half, depending on how fast the early start of the Immortal goes. But that's really a nice heads-up play on there, and Method is trying to negate that advantage as fast as they can. But if Liquid plays their cards right, they should still be able to do a lot of damage here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think all signs really point to Team Liquid should be able to win this Immortal phase, but Method has made a case here to already jump on top of theirs, ticking out pretty quickly, trying to beat that halftime show against their opponents. They need to soak that 10 while they can. They have to be careful. Be wary of that Dragon's Arrow that can come out at any point. A throw even leaving a clone in the middle so he can scout out if he needs to and find out where exactly his opponents are.
As we said before, even when you play the Medivh Diablo composition, you don't necessarily need to go for the leyline scene. You can also go for the polybomb, which is exactly what we see here. Both on the teams now on 10. Once again, Shrimpy with a Dragon Blade, and Hazorps is dead. Taken apart here. Couldn't use his own portal, and immediately the Apocalypse comes in, and that's actually a massive connection that we're seeing here. Bunker on the ground to save Diablo, and he's able to move out of this. But in the meantime, Team Liquid has absolutely shredded that Immortal and taking a massive shield with it too.
That they will. Good news for Method is, one, they got a kill, but sadly they lost their own Thrall on the side. And they also had the bottom lane pushing in, so there is damage on the fort. Team Liquid, knowing they got that pick, look to chase down this Immortal. They want to push with it and at least take this fort and maybe look towards a keep wall. Sport really looking for Arcaner. We'll be able to get the drop on him. Does Splinter have the silence? It comes out, but a little bit off on synergy between the two. And we're going to have Arcaner actually escape.
Arcaner is able to make it out of there. The fort at the bottom right, by the way, was nearly destroyed on Team Liquid's side because of Method's camp that they took earlier. But that's, of course, only a small aspect of Team Method's play. Something that at least works in their favor because everything else is starting to fall apart. Liquid is moving through the Immortal towards the keep, and they're definitely going to get the wall. They're going to get a bit of damage against the keep itself, possibly too. And in the meantime, we see Nick still struggling to complete his Frostwolf pack quest. He's back to 0 stacks since he just died. And every single time that he misses a wolf or they hit falls, he is going to lose out on those stacks. So very likely that he's going to miss out on it. But here comes the re-engage. Cocoon already used on Diablo. Flies with a punk on the ground. And Splendor escaping for now. The polybomb is actually traveling from one to another. First one already hit. Zero is down. That's the real one this time. Getting the kill against Samuro. And we see the counter engage. It's also a second kill as we see Stukov falling. This time Team Liquid losing one member, but Enoborok is taken down. And this is just a back and forth as Spotbilly is also getting a bit lower here. Needs to be careful. Drops the Apocalypse. Shrimpy went in and tried to take him down. He's a bit low in HP here. And the portal is in again. Jet propulsion against Malfury, and Kirsten is still able to get away.
Barely getting away, but Team Liquid is really showing a full display of what exactly that Diablo is able to do in these team fights, controlling Genji, locking him down. On top of that, Stukov being able to drop down that silence whenever he gets the chance. However, with Ethereal being back, Method is looking to chase, but Team Liquid pops the portal and they'll be able to disengage. Clever play there by Team Liquid, and we also got to point out that polybomb being very annoying. With Samuro being on the field, those clones become a nuisance to really manage and make sure you don't get locked down.
Oh yeah, that was actually perfect for them here. I also want to highlight something about Thrall real quickly. Nick, during this entire fight, was able to get 6 stacks together, so he only misses 1. Which means the next wolf is going to be one where he's going to be very, very careful who that lands on. That has to be a hit.
That is the scariest wolf to launch, your 7th one. Can I hit this? If you miss it, you feel like you have failed at life, but don't worry. Nick's going to deliver. I believe in him. In fact, all he needs is Arcaner or Diablo to stand still. There you go. He gets it, and now suddenly that cooldown is reduced. You'll be seeing a lot more wolves on the field.
That's cheating a little bit, I feel, though. Waiting for the stun before you drop it. I was really waiting for him, you know, to have this one-on-one situation where the opponent is trying to dodge it, and then they bring Arcana in and just pre-stun the target.
Arrow, by the way,
stuns.
Comes in, there's a jet propulsion straight into a silence. Arcaner with a massive shove, being tossed to the back left. Nick going for the disengage while Kirsten steps up and drops the Twilight Dream. But a jet propulsion is about to be available. Can Eternal connect it here? Arcaner and Kirsten dissipate there to make sure they don't get picked up. But look at Ethereal on the back line. He is scouting for his opponents. Can they find a way in? And it looks like the answer is going to be no, because Splinter keeps everyone topped up.
Nick even dropping the Sundering here just to make sure that everybody can escape. The Icebook also used some Malfury inside. And everyone moving now into the middle. Team Liquid with level 14 advantage, but the keep at the bot lane to the left is of course taken out. Method is going to have this lane pushing against them the entire time, which is why Samuro is still pushing the waves out. But this is one of those moments when you have to be cautious because it is still on even talent. So Liquid, they have run a great game, 5 kills against 2. They are a level ahead and they are looking strong here. But this is the moment where Method can actually start to turn things around.
That they can. Method setting up for defense. Medivh scouting everything out. Team Liquid doing their best here to bank off that corner. Shouldn't be even tanking it just to make sure that Nurok is unable to get that value out of the Scare Arrow. One finally does connect, and here's a Thurl with those clones just being annoying, trying to make Team Liquid back up while he finally gets a little bit of that push, as you mentioned, to go towards the south.
Yeah, Sport Billy is still there, but of course now the Hanzo situation that we talked about earlier is going to start and develop where you can start poking heavily. The vision aspect of Hanzo alone is also incredible. Nuro the entire time poking here, and we can see it in the hit point bar of Method's Immortal. He is starting to fall slowly but steadily.
Nice little lead here for Team Liquid. I'm waiting for that moment for Sport Billy to find an angle, but Schwimpy and Nick are doing a really good job of making it hard for him to go in for the engage. He is constantly trying to angle perfectly to have that sidewall to get that landing there for Sport Billy to go in and force a fight, but every time Method is willing to sidestep. Finally, he finds an engagement. There goes the Polybomb. Nick is pretty low on health here. Is able to pop out the Sundering, but he gets locked down once again. Popping out a few heals here. He gets a nice wolf, but eventually he gets killed.
He's down, and he's the first one to die, and he might not be the last one because all of a sudden Schwimpy is also in trouble as Diablo goes for him straight away. But the Cocoon is in. Splendor with their silence, trying to do whatever he can to go for another target. Medivh is down. That's already another kill. Icebook being used by Malfurion again, but Kirsten has no chance. Gets crushed into a corner here. Diablo confirming the kill, and that is a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Team Liquid. Still a level ahead, retreating to the fountain, topping themselves up quickly, and now they can go for another shot at an Immortal.
Showmi got a little more damage on that Immortal, but Team Liquid, as you mentioned, are going to rotate up and look to get that halftime show. At 15 seconds, Malfurion will be back, so they can go ahead and contest once again and try to set up for defense. I actually can't believe Method was able to trade out that 1 kill on Medivh. Good for them. Yeah. But still, it's looking pretty difficult. Team Liquid's composition is really shutting down this attempt for Method.
It's really difficult at this point for Method in particular to put damage out. When you look at the damage output on their end in general, Nick has by far the most with his Thrall, sitting at 37,000. Genji, for example, is only at 29k, and if you compare to what we're seeing for Team Liquid, it doesn't even compare. So very well done here on the side of Method to... Well, on the side of Liquid mostly of all, to have just this dangerous setup, and Method's entire roster is just not really to deal with team fights. And that's the one thing that they are forced into every single time here. Great engage here again, the bunker's on the ground, and Cocoon has already been broken through. We are seeing Method once more on the run. There's just very little that they can do in these instances. And now the bottom lane is pushing towards the core. There is macro pressure against Method, and team fights haven't looked good for them either.
The ability to disengage from Team Liquid has been instrumental. That Polybomb from Medivh made sure that Method did not allow for Arcaner on the Anubis to come in and get that setup after the Sundering. And now Team Liquid answers back. They go straight in for a fight. They find a Nick. Nick's getting low on health. He's poking like crazy. He's actually managing to stay here. Schwimpy comes in with the Dragon Blade. There's one. Looking for a second one. Can he take out Sport Billy? No. Sport Billy controls the tempo of the fight, and he gets the kill with Diablo.
You can't. No way.
I'm serious, Caldor. He's alive.
Sport Billy actually walked away alive from that fight. He went in, he got the kill against Genji, completely murdered him. Genji was in a spot where he did not only kill Medivh, but it actually looked like he would be able to take another 2-3 with him. And then we are seeing Sportbilly step up on Diablo, going deep and murdering Genji, taking him down. And what I thought, sacrifice his own life for it, but then he insane. Didn't even have to sacrifice souls for it, just walked out of it. Barely any hit points left. Still alive. Immortal now pushing, of course. Liquid, still a little bit tricky for them to push without Medivh being here. So this is not going to be the end of the game, but still a massive advantage for Team Liquid. More than a level ahead. 8 kills against 4. The level 16 talent in their hands. The entire last fight that we saw with Method once again fighting against a talent tier advantage. But, I mean, Sportbilly, he is just a beast at that front line.
That he is. And speaking about that entire fight, Team Liquid was able to grab the Immortal. It pushed the top lane, and Samuro was left uncontested the entire time to clear it up. And we have Method actually saving their keep and hitting 16 themselves. So Method continues to stay in the game. This might be weird to say, but I feel like our teams in Europe have gotten better at just not dying. Because they have gotten to a point where it feels like we're going to these late games where there's a lot of situations where it seems like they can push in and get a little damage on the core, and that's just not happening in a lot of these matches. Is we've gotten so resilient here in Europe.
Yeah, resilience is a really good word for it, because that's exactly what we're seeing being displayed by Method. And it scares me a bit for Liquid, because Method is really on their last leg. So this is just 1 or 2 minutes before they're starting to win the game. At least if yesterday was any indication.
Yeah, right?
No, but jokes aside, their the comebacks that we've seen from Method have been absolutely stellar. Yes, yesterday's series was one of the most insane that I've seen in a long, long time. And Liquid, they are doing well, but there are always moments when you know that one bad team fight can change this. And they are back to even talents. It's 16 versus 16. And Samuro is soon going to start to play a bigger role in this game.
The biggest difference we had from yesterday to today is that Method had a really powerful wombo combo, the Void Prison into an APOC, that was more of like, if we hit this, we delete the team. But they still have tools here to try and stop a Medivh. Remember the portal moving in, they have that Sun Ring available. If they can land it on 2 to 3 members into a Twilight Dream, I see that world that you're talking about where Genji can come in and clean up the entire team fight. It's just a matter of whether or not Team Liquid will control it well enough. And so far they have good abilities to control that ability. They have that Polybomb, which has done a wonderful job of stopping anyone from getting too aggressive from. They have that Bunker as well that can drop immediately to see anything coming in. So Team Liquid has their base is pretty covered. It's going to be difficult for Method.
I mean, this is the moment. This is really the time when Method needs to make a play. They need, around this Immortal phase, to make sure that they are going to win it, or that they at least trade extremely well. And they are already aggressive. They know that they have to do something. They need to make something happen here. Ethereal is still up at the top with a Samuro, but he has copies around, so you can always use that with the illusion and jump back into the fight, and he is going to do that pretty soon. Again, we have Nick just poking away, and he is leading the charge in damage for his team, and has times also taken the most damage of the entire game. So Thrall definitely having a big impact here, but it's all about Genji, and when he is going to try and use the Dragon Blade to finish someone off. And the prime targets have been Hanzo and also, of course, Medivh so far. Here comes Sportbilly again, trying to look for a target, gets rooted for a second by Nick as he goes in. Nurok also under pressure, jumps away barely. Here comes the Apocalypse. Engage has already started. Hanzo arrow as well. And Sportbilly is low once more as we're seeing everybody moving in. The arrow hitting home hard, but nobody falling yet.
Nick continues to poke here, running in those chain lightnings. Team Liquid full on health, though. Splinter doing a great job of keeping him alive, as well as a deep force of wills, and Method has to back away, unable to break their opponents. Now, cooldowns were used, Massive Shove is still up, and there is also a Dragon Blade available. And Method also, picking up the level 16 talent, Alpha Wolf, has the ability, if an actual root does connect, its duration is increased by 1.5 seconds, and they get additional damage on tanks. So Method does have a chance here if they land that wolf to go in for a hard engage with that Genji and get a kill. Eternal steps up, drops a jet propulsion, goes into this stun there from Stukov. Shwimpy goes back on top of Stukov to stop him from doing full damage to his opponent, but at the same time, Polybomb comes out and Genji is down.
And that's what Liquid was waiting for. The one kill, the one chance, jet propulsion against 3. Billy goes in and he gets Thrall. They're going onto Nick, trying to drop him here. Nick keeps himself alive a bit longer and is actually able to walk away from this. Also thanks to the Cocoon that was dropped by Arcana once again. But not everybody is out of this just yet. Ethereal still being chased here, but able to walk out, barely. 4 heroes alive. Method still in the game, at least for now, but with Hanzo's help, of course, the halftime show is going to be reached pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's still in the game, but it's getting to a point where they might just get knocked out of the game just based on some Immortal. Look at it, already down to half health. Team Liquid has a healthy Immortal, and if they're able to burn this one down on the halftime show, and they'll have a good 10 more seconds before Genji is back, there is a possibility that they'll have a full shielded Immortal pushing down their opponent.
And of course, the impact that we are currently seeing from Medivh's vision alone is just so huge. Liquid knows exactly when they can focus on the Immortal, or when they have to be a little bit more careful. Is there something coming? Is there flank prepared at some point? It's also one of the aspects that makes it so difficult for Thrall himself to set a flank up to maybe engage against the backline, against someone like Stukov or Hanzo, because Medivh always keeps tabs on where exactly they are. And it's not only Medivh. You have Medivh as a vision tool, and you have Hanzo too. So there's so much vision available for them. And it's similar to what we've talked about with Tacita on Tomb of the Spider Queen. He already is fantastic for the map, but then you get vision as a bonus. Here comes the fight, because Method knows they need to take it now. They need to put it past the Immortal. The arrow misses. We still see Shrimpy in the back here. Nurok wants him, but Genji barely escapes. But here comes once again Hanzo, and he takes them down.
Hanzo with the arrow to make sure he doesn't back up. Same time, Thorough and crew are trying to do their best here on the front line, but they aren't getting anywhere here. Sport Billy finally falling down to about half health. Thurno back here to help him up. Finally, the Twilight Dream comes out, but there's a force of will. Hasu attempting to save his teammate. Diablo falls, but he'll be back because he can regen thanks to the 100 souls. Arcaner and crew trying to kite away, but they still have an Immortal that is pushing down their keep, and they'll get that next as core.
At the same time, Semuro was trying to go for Splendor, nearly took him down, but then found himself in trouble. Escape, but the fight is still continuing. At least they killed Diablo. Their souls are gone, but can they hold on to the game? Can they keep Arcana alive? Nurok trying for the geometry, trying to get the kill, but it is Medivh who confirmed the death of Anubarak. And now Team Liquid, with the core open up, are eager to defeat on map number 3 their opponent. Method is already on 50% on the core. They're losing Thrall again, and this is going to be game as Team Liquid claims victory and takes the lead in the series.